We've got the Serene Retreat event coming up in Pokemon Go, and it actually features a Pokemon debut that you don't want to miss. And by the end of this video, you'll know everything the event has to offer and the best tips to help you make the most of it. So the event runs from May 30th at 10 AM until the 3rd of June at 8 PM local time. But what exactly does it have to offer? Well, for the bonuses, you will get half hatch distance, 1.5 times hatch XP, the max particle collection limit will be increased to 1600, you'll get 8 times max particles from power spots, you'll have an increased chance to hatch shiny Munna and encounter shiny Munna in research task rewards, and you'll have an increased chance to encounter shiny Morlul in the wild or in research tasks. And if you buy the event ticket, which I will be going through in a moment, you will get an additional bonus, which will be 1.5 times hatch Stardust. And this ticket will cost you $2 and it'll get you encounters with Munna, Morlul, and you'll get 2 super incubators. So generally not a bad value ticket with the incubators and the 1.5 times hatch Stardust bonus, and the Morlul encounters are actually pretty valuable because they do give you 5 times the normal amount of Stardust per catch. You can also pick up this ticket on the web store for the same price, but you'll get 5 bonus Ultra Balls with it. But which Pokemon are featuring for this event? Well, in the wild, you will be able to encounter Chansey, Marill, Furfrou, Cutiefly, Morlul, Komala, Hatenna, and rarely Snorlax and Chimecho. Hatching from 2 kilometer event eggs will be Chingling, Munna, Spritzy, and Swirlix. From field research, you will be able to encounter Munna, Cutiefly, Morlul, Komala, and Hatenna. You'll also be able to get some event-themed encounters with collection challenges during the event. For the raids, in 5-star raids will be Tapu Bulu up until the 3rd at 10 AM. In Mega raids will be Mega Altaria up until the same time. And in 5-star Shadow raids will be Shadow Regirock on Saturday and Sunday during the event. In Max battles will be Max Ghastly, Pidove, Rookidee, and Phalanx until the 2nd at 6 AM. And probably the most hype part of the event is the debut of Gigantamax Rillaboom in 6-star Max battles. This Pokemon will be available from Saturday, May 31st at 6 AM until the Sunday, June 1st at 9 PM local time. And it can be battled remotely, so you definitely have a good chance to get it. But how good exactly are the event encounters in Pokemon Go? For the wild, Chansey is a good one to pick up because nowadays it has more value due to the fact that Max Blissey is the best general tank and healer for Max battles. Blissey is also the best gym defender, and Chansey does have a perma boosted shiny rate of 1 in 64. For Marill, Azumarill is ranked 21 in the Great League with 0-15-15 IVs. Furfrou is available, and whilst not meta relevant, it is a Pokemon with a lot of forms that all take 25 candy to change into. There are a total of 10 forms, so you will need a total of 250 candy and 100,000 Stardust to get them all. And some forms are region locked and some are only available during certain events, so worth being ready with everything that you need for when the opportunity arises. Morlul is always worth catching because it is a Stardust boosted Pokemon that gives 500 Stardust per catch, and it does have a shiny boost for this event. Hatenna's evolution Hatterene is currently the 17th best fairy type raid attacker with Charm and Dazzling Gleam, and Hatterene does have a GMax form coming at some point in the future. That will most likely be the best fairy type attacker for Max battles for the future, so well worth getting some candy ready for that. We do also have Chimecho in the wild as a rare spawn, and whilst not meta relevant, much like Morlul, it is a Stardust boosted Pokemon that gives 1000 Stardust per catch, which is 10 times the normal amount, so it's a great Pokemon to pick up whenever you see it. Munna is available through field research and eggs, and it doesn't have any meta relevance, but it is shiny boosted, so a good time to hunt the shiny. And whilst the Pokemon in the 2 kilometer event eggs don't really have much meta relevance, you will be getting half hatch distance, 1.5 times hatch XP, and even 1.5 times hatch Stardust if you buy the ticket, so hatching these eggs or other eggs could be worth it, and it'll help you progress your Platinum Breeder medal. For the raids, Tapu Bulu is actually a pretty strong raid attacker. It's the 16th best grass type attacker with Bullet Seed and Grass Knot, and it's the 7th best fairy type attacker with Bullet Seed and Legacy move Nature's Madness, which it will actually have when caught from these raids. Mega Altaria doesn't have any particular meta relevance, but it can boost fairy and dragon types at the same time, so well worth having access to it for those events that feature both of these types of Pokemon. And briefly for the Max battles, Max Ghastly is a good target because Max Gengar is the best ghost type attacker for Max battles outside of GMax Gengar, and if you do have access to GMax Gengar, it is one of the strongest attackers, even if it just does neutral damage, so worth getting candy for it. This Pokemon will be the best ghost type attacker for Max battles pretty much forever. For Max Rookidee, Max Corviknight has decent defense and HP, so it could be a decent tank or healer depending on the situation. But Corviknight is more relevant outside of Max battles, where it is ranked 12 in the Great League with 0-13-14 IVs, and it's ranked 2nd best in the Ultra League with 0-15-15 IVs. And this Pokemon can be really useful for GMax Rillaboom battles, but more on that in a minute. And GMax Rillaboom will be available for the first time in Pokemon Go, and you are going to want to get this because with its strong attack of 239, it will be the best grass type attacker for Max battles, and the only Pokemon that's likely to overtake it in terms of damage is Dynamax Kartana if that ever gets released. So generally it is a pretty safe investment because Max Kartana will likely be quite a while away, and it's worth keeping in mind that Grookey candy is a lot more accessible than Kartana candy. But what will be the best counter counters for GMax Rillaboom to help you take it down with as few people as possible. First, it's worth noting that Rillaboom can't be shiny from these battles, and the 100% IV you're looking for is 1899. It's a pure grass type, therefore weak to flying, bug, poison, fire, and ice type attacks. And it will use 2 of either of these moves during battle. One move will be a large attack that hits multiple Pokemon and it can't be avoided, and the other move will be a directed attack that you can avoid by keeping an eye on the attack feed and the markers above your Pokemon's head. When those markers flash red, you can swipe to attempt to avoid the attack. So for the best tanks, which you will want to use in the normal battle phase of max battles to fill up the max meter as fast as possible whilst taking reduced damage, I would recommend Max Corviknight if GMax Rillaboom is using grass type attacks because it resists them well. Otherwise, if GMax Rillaboom is using the ground type earth power, Max Blissey will be the better choice. And as Max Corviknight is effective here, but it is quite niche compared to Max Blissey's effectiveness, it might be better to invest into Max Blissey over Max Corviknight because Max Blissey is going to be helpful as a tank in many more battles going forward. You could alternatively use Max or GMax Charizard, Max or GMax Venusaur, Max Zapdos, or Max Rillaboom. When it comes to attackers, I would recommend GMax Charizard, Max Darmanitan, Max Moltres, or Max Cinderace. It's generally worth having 2 tanks and an attacker in your team. Use the tanks to charge the max meter and then swap into the attacker during the Dynamax phase to use its max attack, which I would recommend having at level 3 if you can. And that leads us to the question of how many trainers will it take to win this battle? Well, it is hard to say for sure until these battles go live, but based on previous GMax battles, I would imagine these raids will take around 10 plus trainers, but with good strategy and team composition, it could be doable with less. Worth noting as well, whilst expensive, max mushrooms do double your damage output, so a great item to use if you don't have a big group of people to do these battles with. But how can you maximize the amount of free GMax Rillaboom battles you can do on the weekend, with them all costing 800 max particles per battle? So the max particle collection limit will be increased to 1600 each day of the event, and you'll get 8 times max particles from power spots. So ideally, you do want to end the Thursday before the weekend on about 60 max particles. Then on the Friday after 10 AM when the max particle collection limit is increased, you can walk for 300 max particles twice, and then claim 2 power spots for 820 each. This will get you a total of 2300. Then it's worth taking another 2-kilometer walk on the Friday to keep 300 max particles ready to collect on the Saturday. On Saturday, you can then do 2 Rillaboom battles to start, so you can use up some of that 2300 max particles you have. Then you can collect that 300 max particles you saved from the Friday and collect 820 from 1 power spot. This will give you enough for another 2 battles. Then you can collect another power spot for 820 and do the final battle for that day. That's a total of 5 battles for the day, leaving you with 240 max particles left over. And again, on Saturday, it's worth walking another 2 kilometers to get 300 ready to collect for the next day. Then on Sunday, you can collect the 300 that you saved from walking, walk another 2 kilometers for 300, and then collect 820 from a power spot. Then do 2 more Rillaboom battles, collect another 820 from a power spot, and then do 1 more battle. This method will get you a total of 8 free GMax Rillaboom battles over the weekend. Now, you could also get an extra GMax battle done if you join a community ambassador meetup. To do this, you need to head to the Niantic Campfire app and check your local area on the map to see if there is a meetup being held specifically by a community ambassador. Then if you go to the meetup, you can check in via the Campfire app and you will receive a special research. These special researches do differ depending on the type of event you're meeting up for, and for a max battle event in particular, you will get 5000 XP for winning 2 max battles, 5 Great Balls for catching a max Pokemon, 2000 Stardust from powering up a Pokemon 10 times, and for completing all of these tasks, you'll get 800 max particles, which is enough for another GMax Rillaboom battle. Now, with Blissey, Corviknight, and Charizard being the best Pokemon to use against GMax Rillaboom, you are generally going to need a lot of candy to power them up and their max moves, so it's well worth leaving multiple of them at different power spots often to try and gain some passive candy. Doing this will also help out other people doing battles on these power spots. But if you can't manage to get as much candy as you need to level up the Pokemon and their max moves, there is a certain way you can use the candy to make sure you get the most out of your candy, because it can be tricky to decide whether you need to power up the Pokemon first or their max moves first. So the best order of importance is to fully evolve the Pokemon first if you can, then power up to level 30, because after this, the amount of resources to level up becomes a lot more steep and a lot less worth it. Once at level 30, you can then begin powering up your max moves, and after that, you should power up to level 40 or 50. Doing it this way will get the most out of your candy. But how can you even tell your Pokemon's at level 30? Well, the best way to tell is by the amount of Stardust it requires to power them up. If you get to the point where the next Stardust cost requires 5000 Stardust, that is level 29. So if you power up 2 more times, it will reach level 30, then you can focus on powering up your max moves. Now, to get more candy, you can always use Pinat Berries when catching Pokemon, and you could Mega Evolve a Pokemon that shares a type with a Pokemon you're catching to get more candy, Candy XL, and XP per catch. So this event has a lot of normal and fairy type Pokemon spawning, so the best Mega to Mega Evolve will be Mega or Dino, because it will boost both of these types at the same time. This will cover all wild spawns apart from Hatena and Chimecho. It will also cover any Tapu Bulu and Altaria from raids as well. However, if you don't have access to Mega Ordino, you could Mega Evolve a normal type like Pidgeot, Kangaskhan or Lopunny to cover the normal types, or you could Mega Evolve a fairy type like Gardevoir, Mawile, Altaria or Diancie to cover the fairy types. Alternatively, if you did want to cover all of the fairy type spawns and Hatena, you could Mega Evolve Mega Gardevoir. And if you want to Mega Evolve for catching Rillaboom from GMax Rillaboom raids on the weekend, you could Mega Evolve Venusaur, Sceptile, Abomasnow, or you could revert Groudon. And remember to pick whichever Pokemon that you have at the max Mega level to get more Candy, XP, and chance for Candy XL. It's also worth noting you do get a guaranteed Candy XL per trade this season because of the seasonal bonus, so good time to be trading and working on your Platinum Gentleman and Pilot medals. And if you are going to do any 5-star raids, I would recommend doing so during raid hour, because this season you will get a guaranteed Rare Candy XL for catching a 5-star raid boss during raid hour. And if you didn't know, Rare Candy XL can be turned into XL Candy for any Pokemon of your choice, so a very important item to have. So it's well worth doing 5-star raids during raid hour this season, which will help you progress your Platinum Rising Star and Battle Legend medals. There are no raid hours specifically during the Serene Retreat event, but Tapu Bulu does have a raid hour on the 28th, a couple of days before this event goes live. You will also get more candy by increasing the amount of Pokemon you can catch in a given time. So methods like quick catching, having catch assist from a Great Buddy, and utilizing Origin Palkia's Spatial Rend Adventure effect to increase encounter radius can all help you get more catches. You can also change some settings to help speed up your gameplay and your catching. In the advanced settings, firstly you can turn on Remember Last Used Pokeball. This is especially helpful when you want to use Great or Ultra Balls instead of Pokeballs to catch a Pokemon, because it means each time you encounter another Pokemon, you'll bring out the Great or Ultra Ball you used last at the start of the encounter instead of defaulting to a Pokeball, so you don't have to navigate the menu each time you catch a Pokemon. Selecting native refresh rate can also get you smoother gameplay because the refresh rate won't be capped by the game, it'll be based on your phone. This, however, may drain your battery a bit quicker. And along with Candy, you are going to want Stardust to help with powering up Pokemon, and you can actually get a lot of Stardust from doing the GMax Rillaboom battles themselves. They do give 25k Stardust per battle, which will be 37.5k with a star piece active, and if you have the coins to do so, you could spend 200 Poké Coins to double up your rewards to get 75,000 Stardust per GMax battle. So if you are able to get a group of people and do a lot of these GMax battles, or if you're able to remote raid a few of them, you could really rack up the Stardust from them. And with that said, if you did enjoy this video, then I recommend checking out one of these videos on the screen now, and I'll catch you in the next one.